Hey folks, it's the Quiet Light Podcast, where we share relentlessly honest insights, actionable tips, and entrepreneurial stories that will help founders identify and reach their goals.
Hello and welcome to the Quiet Light Podcast again. I'm Pat Yates, sitting in for Joe Valley. Today we have an amazing conversation. I think the exciting part about this is I'm opening it up to a lot more entrepreneur spotlights along with our sellers and our partners that we have at Quiet Light. This is just going to be a fantastic conversation. I did several trips this year with a group called United Inventors Association and Chris Guerrera, where we as Shark Tank companies went around and we became very actionable for entrepreneurs trying to bring new products to the market. We would go out and help them. We do pitch panels like we're sharks to give actionable tips on how to grow it. And I happened to meet a couple, Kevin and Laurie Lane, who have a business called Create a Castle. And I was just taken by them. They are just such great people. You know, they talked family, they talked their experiences more than they talked and bragged about anything they'd done in business. And the more we talked, the more we just became friends. And their philosophy towards approaching their business was not only great, but their business itself was awesome. They have forms that you can build these castles. It becomes something that kids can do hands-on and not have a device. They don't have to do it. And you can do it in snow. You can do it in sand. It's a really versatile product. They cut a deal with Kendra Scott, really incredible company, getting ready to go a lot of places, but just more tremendous people. I'm really excited to get this conversation today. So let's get right to it. Kevin and Laurie Lane from Create a Castle. And again, if you need any information from me or you're looking to work with Quiet Light, you can email me at pat@quietlight.com or check out all our listings on quietlight.com. So let's get right to the show. I can't wait to talk to Laurie and Kevin. Here we go. Kevin and Laurie, it's great to have you in the Quiet Light Podcast. How you doing today?
You're good.
Doing great. Thanks, Pat.
I am really excited about this one. People that are out there listening today, Kevin and Laurie have an amazing business we're going to jump into, but they just so happen to travel with me in a Shark Tank group and do pitch panels and help entrepreneurs for a nonprofit. Really just passionate, awesome people. And I love their product and business so much. I just wanted to have you in. So maybe tell everybody about a little bit about your background, where you're from, family, all that. Give us all the skinny on you two.
Start it up.
Let's go beauty before age. So Laurie, go ahead. Maybe you lost them both. I don't know, Kevin.
So we're a couple. We live in Connecticut. We've been married this year. It'll be 25 years. And so we've worked together with Create a Castle since 2017, 2018. But we actually owned a different business together that we still run in the background, a web design biz that we started in 2010. So we've worked together besides being married for a very long time. We have two kids that are both in college down in Florida. So we're not empty nesters. So
Not really.
Awesome. I'm going to give the raise the roof on the empty nester thing. I love it too. What's college?
One is at Eastern College in Melbourne, and one is at Seminole State in Orlando.
That's really wild. My wife's grandmother lived in Melbourne. So I've been there a bunch of times. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. We have lots of family down there, all near them. So, which is good. So they're definitely not alone there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we, I worked for Disney so I was a stay-at-home mom when we had our son in 2001. But before that, I had graduated from the University of Connecticut in stores, and I had a degree in retail management. So I worked for the Gap, I worked for Express, but my main retail career was with the Disney stores. So I worked for Disney for almost 10 years, which is great because that's where we have a lot of our connections. A lot of my friends that I was a district manager with work for Universal, work for Hershey, different companies. So still lots of connections. We had a wonderful time, like being able to experience Disney as an employee too. And I got the best customer service background you could ever get working for a company like Disney. So that's really benefited us.
It's funny you say that because I spent about a year going back and forth building a Disney license. And I swore the last time that I walked out of the office, I'd never go again. It's like they have such an amazing campus, but it got so old going for a year trying to build a license. That was incredible. So, and Kevin, what about you? I mean, obviously, other than marrying up, what about your background?
Well, she said we're empty nesters. Are you really an empty nester when you own a business? No. I mean, that's like your new baby, right?
That's a great point.
Yeah. My background is so I grew up really passionate about design, doing anything design related, graphic design specifically. Got a degree in graphic design from Western Connecticut State University. Graduated in 1994, I believe it was. Wow, going way back.
I think.
And
Okay,
quickly got a
just
job
stop
in-
that because I graduated college before you. You're not going to make me feel any older than I am. Go ahead though.
So yeah, and then I quickly got a job in print publication. That lasted about a year or two. And then I got an offer to move down to New York City for a startup company called Digital Madness, which was in the forefront of web design and web development.
Wow.
So I quickly left the print publication space and saw the writing on the wall. I was like, wow, this is just an incredible opportunity. Moved down to New York City for about, what, 2 years, was it?
2 years.
And right next to the Flatiron building, Flatiron District down in New York City.
Wow.
Had a little L studio, got to see Godzilla being filmed. And, oh, sorry about that. And, basically it was just an incredible path to learning all about tech. And I'm glad I made that move when I did, because it literally changed my life. I quickly got a job after 2 years being in New York City. I married up, like you said, and decided to make the move back home to Connecticut to start a family and everything. New York City is great, but not a great place to start a family.
Yeah.
So got a job with a company called internet.com, and I was in charge of about 150 websites, give or take, with hundreds of millions of views monthly, and had to basically answer to all the higher ups and manage my own team of about 4 to 5 people on a daily basis. And then from there, after 10 years of doing that, I moved over to information architecture, where I had to basically configure server configs, layouts, diagram things out in Visio, and a lot of corporate board meetings, which drove me to, really looking, forward to my vacation time with my family. Laurie always loved to plan out beach vacations. So I needed to take my time and spend time with my kids and build awesome sandcastles. So I turned a hobby into a full-time career, in a sense, with Create a Castle. It turned a passion into a career.
That's really amazing, because the one thing that it sort of stands out to me that you guys are saying, it's interestingly enough, is you came from a tech and web design background and Laurie came from a consumer products background. It's really not very shocking to me now when I look at this, why you're in the e-commerce business. It's one of those things that sometimes you find a way to merge those two things together, and here comes something amazing. So I really would like to jump into the business, because when we first met and started talking, I told you, I just said, this product is awesome. I looked at it and thought, there's so many options, so many great things. It's a great demo item. Tell us a little bit about Create a Castle. Maybe start from the beginning of what your vision was and what kind of what you wanted out of this business when you first started it.
You want to start? Tell them the backstory.
Yeah, the backstory is wild.
What do you mean? Does he want to start? We're not starting with him, Laurie. You're the talent in this deal. You start.
I know I am the brains too. No, I'm just
brains and looks.
Kevin knows I just like to mess with him the whole way. That's it.
He's along for the ride. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
He's got to shovel the sand at the beach patch.
I told the backstory on Shark Tank. It did not air, but the backstory is wild. The backstory goes back to my youth. So I don't even think you know this. I don't think I've told many people this story. I used to grow up in a bakery with my twin brother and my older brother. My mom and grandma started a bakery business called Heidi's Cake and Cookie Shop.
Out of their house.
Out of their house. So she's got 3 kids running around their table while they're making these stacked tiered wedding cakes. So to quiet all of us, they found everything, all of our passions. My passion happened to be drawing. So my mom was like, well, I'm going to get them these books called Draw 50. These Draw 50 books taught me how to draw castles, of all things. Castles, Eiffel Towers, buildings, structures, but primarily I always honed in on castles. So as I'm drawing my little castles from this Draw 50 book, I'm watching them bake their cakes with split mold, right? So do the math. They had these pans called springform pans, where the pan would kind of spring open and they would lift it off. It's the same exact premise of what we have now, but I just
remember those.
Yeah.
And so many people, when we're like demoing everything, are like, oh, it's like baking. Oh, it's like baking. You know, it like resonates with people because it's used in baking.
Yep.
And his mom actually found a picture, I think it's on our website too, of a castle he had drawn when he was like 10 years old. And it looks like Create a Castle.
Yeah, we actually, again, we had that on Shark Tank as part of our
It's really
pitch.
kind of crazy. It's like one of those, it was in the recess of his mind for 40 years.
Yep.
And, you know, so you never know what's going to come back from, you know, an experience you had as a child, as a teen, you know.
So now that's my passion, right? My passion is to have other people explore their creativity and have fun with a product that was born out of my mind from my youth. That's the real power here, is who knows what else could be born from Create a Castle, from just, you know, we could have future engineers and architects and everything. It's endless.
One thing, if someone's in their car and we know what the product is, they may or may not. So can you, from its basic level, explain exactly what Create a Castle is to people?
So basically it's new, we call it revolutionary. It's a new twist on like an old task that people used to do. We have molds that instead of filling and flipping a mold to make a sandcastle, they split apart. So it takes away the frustration, and it actually works. The sand doesn't stick in the bucket. So
yeah, it's hyper detailed versus what you can get out of a flip mold. Much larger. You can stack. You don't have to stack. Not all sands are created equal. So, you know, if you can't stack, use the parts independently and create a little kingdom on your beach or in the snow too. These also work in the snow as well.
It's really amazing. And I'm trying in these occasionally to be able to show my screen a little bit. Let me kind of, as I'm doing this, so people can see this as they're watching the video version, you can see some of the things that Create a Castle makes, these forms that you could do in snow as well as sand and stuff. Tell me a little bit, because the coolest part about this, I think, is the marketing, the way that you can go to the beaches. Kevin, I know you go a lot. Tell us a little bit about how you engage with people and get them using the product in your hands. It's really an amazing part of this company.
Yeah, that was a huge part of our invention process. In the prototype phase, we would go beach to beach instead of door to door, and we would get feedback.
Like true great marketing, you know, like they always tell you, and I think Mark Cuban, someone says you have to, you know, hit the ground and like just boots on the ground and figure out who's going to like your product, if it's going to work and that kind of stuff. And that's what we did, you know, instead of door to door, did beach to beach, and we went everywhere.
And we got an incredible response every time we went. So now you're looking at some of the customer photos from stuff that people have built. It's incredible to see the creativity blossom. If you go back up real quick there, Pat, right there. Yeah, the one on the left, right there in the bottom left, is a veteran down in Florida who is the one down, one more down where the kid is standing.
One? Okay.
Yep, right there. That's a veteran down in Florida who is legally blind. And he uses our product, he fills it, he splits it, he can feel by the sense, and that's part of the construction of our product, actually. Our daughter has visual disabilities, so we thought out everything could be done by feel as well.
Wow.
And that was part of my job as an information architect, going back to, you know, my career in my past life. It all ties in. I had to build websites for visually impaired, hearing impaired people, and it had to be done by law. So we applied all of those thought processes to the actual technology that we built out.
It's really, really amazing. So one of the questions I have, let's go to a few business questions on this. I look at this and I see that you have a regular form and there's other things you add to it. I know there are kits. Do you find that people, as they start getting involved in this, actually get so much more creative to buy several of the kits to be able to do even more expansive? Does it become something that people just get super passionate about buying every one they have to see what they can make of it?
Well, our top sellers, so we have like the different levels of kits that just basically are more pieces, you know, and as you go up, and our top kit, the Pro kit, is $50. And that is our number one selling kit.
That's for outdoor.
Yeah,
that's
for outdoor. And I think that's like what you're saying is like people want to go big with it. So if you buy that Pro kit, you can just use the pieces over and over, on the beach and so forth. And yeah, people want to be the rock star on the beach, and they can be.
And again, we like to stress that, not in all situations in every beach, depending on the beach you're on, because not all sands are created equal. You can always stack, but if you look at some of our gallery of images, you don't need to stack this product. It doesn't matter. You can use the parts independently and still build a complete work of art.
Yeah, we call it a sprawling kingdom, instead of a high kingdom, you could still do a sprawling kingdom, and it's still just as impressive,
Yeah, I guess, one of the things I'm kind of interested in, I know the listeners will, we both have one thing really in common that's kind of huge for both companies, is the ability to air on ABC Shark Tank. So tell us a little bit about, I think the listeners hear me talk about it occasionally a little bit, but maybe talk a little bit about, because you think about this, you started a business after having careers, and all of a sudden you take it to the level where you get on Shark Tank. And some people think that's impossible, but I think it's a lot about perseverance and the ability to continue to push to ask them to get on, but you got to be really diligent and really hard. Tell us about that process going up to it, and what made you decide to go ahead and do it.
Well, we said we would be billionaires if we counted every time someone said, "Oh, this is a great Shark Tank product. You should be on Shark Tank."
Yeah.
Like when we did all of our consumer shows, trade shows, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if we could coin that and make money on everybody saying that to us. So finally, it was the winter, was it 20? Now we're going back, it was 22, 21.
Yep, 2021.
And we just said, okay, we'll apply. We had been going for a couple of years.
I think we need to step back and tell Pat and his audience about the tour of the year too. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment before that.
And the listeners, not to interject, but the listeners out there, there's season 14, episode 3 of Shark Tanks. Look it up. Check out Create a Castle. I see Kevin there. He's got his shirt tucked in too. I'm surprised at that, because I thought he might look a little sloppy, but so go ahead. Tell us about the process and what was good, bad, or indifferent about it. I always talk about it. I'm curious to hear other people.
Yeah. So we decided to, that October, we just said, you know what, everybody always says it to us. We had been in business for a couple of years, because when people were saying it to us, we were like, we're too green. You see people go on there, and some are just starting, and some, there's all different levels of people that go on Shark Tank. But, I felt like if we were going to go on, we needed to have our ducks in a row. We needed to have sales. We needed to have our books in order, all that kind of stuff we wanted to feel comfortable with, so that when we went on the show, we could go on with a bang, and like Kevin said, we had won 2020 Outdoor Toy of the Year, which was in 2020. We had just started selling the product in 2018. And that was it's like the Oscars of the toy industry. He literally had to accept the award right after the owner of Little Tykes got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like, that's how big it is. Yeah. So, we had these accomplishments. So that's why we kind of decided the time was right to apply for Shark Tank. We applied in October, and then we were at his birthday dinner in March 3rd. We were sitting there, and we got the email saying, hey, let's go to the next step. So that's what we did. We started the whole process then, and it's definitely a process. And I'm sure you've talked about this, it's a lot of work. You have to have your business in order to be able to answer the questions that they ask, give them the information that they need to move forward. And by having all of that, definitely increases your chance of getting a deal.
Yep.
That's a great point. So, stepping from that, after you tape the episode, Kevin, maybe you give us some idea of the kind of things that come from Shark Tank after. I mean, did you get opportunities in retail and other places right away? We don't necessarily have to talk numbers of the deal or who it was. If you feel you want to, you can discuss that with the listeners, but tell us a little bit about post Shark Tank, the kind of things that were awesome. I say that I always tell people Shark Tank's the best, worst thing that ever happened to me, because it's a mixed bag of some things, most of it best, some of it, you have to deal with, and it becomes an issue. But tell us about post that, how you viewed the whole experience.
It was incredible. Primarily because we were trying to pivot the business to because of the toy of the year, we were very heavy in retail sector already. Big box, down to specialty. And we wanted to pivot the business away from retail because we saw post-COVID what was happening and retail was taking a hit. So Shark Tank accelerated that whole concept of direct to consumer by leaps and bounds. I mean, it was just 3,500% growth year over year compared to the prior year. So it was just
the best advertising you could
absolutely.
Get. That was the best part of it.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, where else can you see that kind of growth on your website, direct to consumer, to capture that many new customers in your database? It's an incredible opportunity.
I definitely agree with you in that. I think it opens so many doors, and the folks out there listening, Kevin and Laurie, a lot like me, I think are people that, use that opportunity to be philanthropic, to give back. We travel with a group called United Vendors Association with Chris Guerrera, and we do actionable tips to entrepreneurs as they're starting brand new products. So if you have a brand new product out there and you're thinking about trying to bring it to market, that kind of thing can help you. Look up United Vendors Association. You may find us at a trade show where we're sitting there helping people learn how to build their products. Don't think that that's not a great thing to be able to do. So let's talk a little bit more about the business. Kevin, I think you told me something one time that I was kind of astounded at, but I thought it was amazing that you had salespeople actually on the beach selling these, to people walking around. Maybe I forget that, or maybe that was in the early days when you're trying to prove concept. I mean, but again, that's a hustling thing. So tell me if that happened, and if so, what was that story?
So I still, we still did that. We did that for what, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I was traveling
everywhere.
I went up and down the coast. We did Virginia Beach. We did, for 1 month straight. Was it over a month? Mm-hmm. I was down in Florida. This is when the kids were still in high school, but I was down in Florida for a full month doing the full circuit of sandcastle events. And that was in 2019. And it was perfect timing because it was like that 1 month window I could announce, hey, go and vote for us for the toy of the year, because that's when we could do all that. It was in the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people saw our brand, saw our product, and it's a targeted audience, right? I mean, we're talking sandcastle events, and I'm hustling and slinging sandcastle products in front of them, literally. Like, some of the people in the sandcastle events will come over and be like, dude, you can't ever do that again because you're making us look bad. Like, I could literally build sandcastles in minutes and I would have an audience of people around me, a circle of, 50 to 100 people around me. And they would I would split it for the first time in front of them, and you get an applause. And my buddy who was with me, who's a professional sand sculptor, said, my God, I can't believe that just happened. I've been building sandcastles and sculptures for, a decade now, and I never get an applause. So that's the power of bringing a product to life, is that guerrilla marketing. There's real raw power to it. Social media is incredible because you could put your product in front of people in a digital space very quickly, very efficiently, targeting the right people. But I mean, come on, I'm on a beach at a sandcastle event making sandcastles with a brand new product. It doesn't get any better than that. And it's raw and it's powerful, and you can converse with people and they're excited. They feel your passion and they want to be part of that. So I think it's really important to touch the consumer at that level.
And that's something that our big focus right now is like the shift with the direct to consumer, as well as we're starting an affiliate program where we're going to clone people like Kevin on different beaches, so that since he can't, and it's getting very tiring going beach to beach, but seriously, to have those affiliates that are the salespeople on the beach, and they have QR codes, and they'll be helping us sell the product because that's the best way we sell it.
Yep.
And the great thing is I'm not sure if your listeners know, but we did get a deal with Kendra Scott, who is a jewelry.
We also got an offer from Damon too.
We did. But Kendra Scott, she is a master of affiliate marketing. She has all of her people that, sell her jewelry for her. So that's something that we're working on with her right now to help her. She's going to help us guide us through the process of really setting up a really good and beneficial affiliate program.
I don't know very many people that have had her on the panel. It's really amazing because she hasn't been on a ton of episodes. It's amazing that you got to deal
Only
with
a
her.
couple, yeah.
I find her quite lovely. So I could sit in on your next meeting if you get time. I'll go with you just so I can meet her if you need to. You can put me in that meeting. So one thing I don't, I imagine she's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Kendra. Go ahead. Tell us. I mean, is she, how's it been to work with her?
It's good. It's very, it's in the beginning stages. So we don't, have a ton of work with her yet.
Just so everybody knows, all your listeners know, like they see Shark Tank air and then they think, boom, it just happens. No, there's a 9 to 18 month window of due diligence
if it goes through,
that goes back and forth.
Yeah, so much craziness. So we literally have just had a couple of phone calls with her.
Yeah.
But she's very excited about the product. And the one thing I can say about her is she is so lovely and down to earth. She's just real.
Yeah.
And that's what I love best, so she's excited about the company, how she can help us. And so we're kind of just figuring out, okay, so this like the program is really a crazy strength of hers. So that's what we're going to focus on right now with her. Cause she's busy too.
That's exactly right. One thing I want to make sure the listeners realize too, and we don't have to go too deep into it. We've talked a lot about beach and selling all these things. This is a snow form too. So like if you're in cold areas, like our owner, Mark Doust, our founder, Mark Doust, he's in Minneapolis. It snows there every day. He's got legitimately like 50 kids. I think he has 10. I lose track, but he could take these things and build some forms like you wouldn't believe in front of their house with the team he's got. But people that are in cold areas obviously want to use this too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that hustle turned into me going to random, very big, very popular ski resorts where I bring my forms and I'll find a business section and just
he builds at the bottom of the mountain.
I plant it right at the bottom of the mountain and people come over to like, what is that? So it's
right.
It's applying the same exact technique. It's just not a beach. Now it's a ski mountain where tons of people are eyeballs on your brand.
And then now we've taken it totally from the beach and the snow and we shrunk our molds. And now we're trying to get that year-round fun of building castles. And that's what our indoor line comes in.
I think
which is up to you, by the way.
I'll be a beach guy. I hate cold weather. I might do one on my deck while sitting in the hot tub watching people ski. Other than that, I'm probably not in on that one.
Well, you can use a build master from your hot tub. You can just get a little tray and build with the
I don't know if you heard me or not, but our indoor set is up for Toy of the Year this year. So our competitors are Lego, Hot Wheels, Pokemon, major. So if any of your listeners can vote, go to our website and go and vote for us because we need all the help we can get.
I have a feeling that this will air if anyone is dating us, we're like in the late part of August right now. I don't think this will air till like the second week of October, but if that's still going on, then we would love for you to go in and vote. But if you're buying a Christmas gift, go look up Create a Castle. That's for sure. But I definitely put it up on my Facebook. We got a few there, man. I'm hoping that you end up winning. It's really an amazing opportunity. So let me, as we start to close this up a little bit, you're amazing entrepreneurs. Obviously, you started back in 2010 working on web stuff. You've been in Disney stores, which is like being an entrepreneur training in progress. You've done the business. You did Shark Tank. You're doing all the things you're doing. If there were a couple of things that you thought you would give entrepreneurs to tell them of things that you, in your experience, are really important traits or things that you've done, what would those be?
I would say you have to have perseverance. It's exhausting. And a lot of people would be like, oh, look, you got into Target. You guys must be rich, or you guys did this. That's great. They think it's like, you know what I mean? Target gives you a check. They don't realize that they wait, 120 days to pay you. There's just so much. And like we always say, the entrepreneur is like the duck on the water that's going really, looks so beautiful going across the water, and underneath the feet, are paddling like crazy. And that's, you have to realize that it's a lot of work. And it's rewarding work. And especially like he's, we're bringing up stuff he had dreams of as a kid and all this stuff. So it's very rewarding work. And like you said, if we can give back, and that's what our goal is, I would love to be able to give back to other entrepreneurs. We wouldn't be where we are if we didn't have help from so many people.
It's an incredible network that we built.
Just people from past lives everywhere, willing to lend a hand. And that's the one thing we always try and do. And other entrepreneurs are always like, oh my God, thank you for helping us. I'm like, we wouldn't be where we are if people didn't
Laurie,
help us.
before you go on to the next point, would you think that entrepreneurs typically don't like to admit failure? So sometimes they don't open up their network as big as they should, but once they break down that barrier, we've learned, especially with the Shark Tank group we're with and the reunion and everything that we do, that there's a great group out there to be able to help you. That's a great suggestion. Any other tips? What do you got, Kevin?
Yeah, I'd say be prepared to be hit with hurdles that you never, ever, ever saw coming. Prime example, 2020 Toy of the Year, right? Like huge momentum. Walmart coming to our booth saying they want to carry us in all their beach stores. Boom, COVID happens.
2 weeks
It
later,
all
the world
shuts down.
Yeah.
So, we lost probably $1 million worth of POs.
Yeah,
I mean,
every order canceled.
we lost millions of dollars worth of POs, but we dealt with it, right? Like there's certain things that you just can't see coming.
Yeah.
That you have to face as an entrepreneur. We didn't expect a container crisis to happen to pay $25,000 just to ship a product over every container. So these are the things that you need to prepare for as an entrepreneur, that there's going to be hurdles in your way and you need to be nimble enough to find workarounds and basically, just like Laurie said, perseverance.
And you have
Keep
to
going.
pivot. You have to be prepared to pivot.
Yeah.
There's always something you're going to be going down and you're like, we're going this way. And then it's like, oh, that's a really big tree in the road and you got to go this way. And then you got to go that way. And, so, I mean, I know, you just got to keep figuring it out. Like it's always going to be something. And it goes back to asking other people for help. And that is definitely something, like you said, people think they're either burdening people by asking for help or, they feel like they don't want to, like you said, admit failure.
I'll just say it. Just put your ego aside
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, because you should have help. You need help as an entrepreneur.
It's really interesting that you guys say that, because I will say this to the listeners. Kevin and Laurie and I met along with my wife at one point at a show when we were speaking, and people just become fast friends that want to help each other and want to be invested in what people are learning and have their eyes open to be able to teach and learn in entrepreneurship, especially growing companies. I can't tell you enough how great it's been to have you on the podcast, folks. Again, this is Create a Castle. Look it up online. It's up for Toy of the Year. It's an absolutely phenomenal business. Kevin and Laurie, you've just done nothing but have a long marriage, raise 2 great kids, build a business, go on Shark Tank. You hadn't had much going on, but it's great to have you on the Quiet Life podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
Oh, we so appreciate
you, Pat.
Yeah,
Thank you
so much for having us.
Absolutely.